Good evening, everyone. It's 5:30 and we want to do this, get started on time. Surely we will have folks joining us as this moves along, but I wanted to welcome everyone today. Thank you for joining us, and really hopeful that today's session and future sessions will be helpful. Welcome to Cal Maritime. Again, my name is Vinita Dillon. I wear a couple of different hats on campus, and one of them is to be a parent liaison. I'm sure most of you have seen my posts on the KFAM Facebook page, and if you have not, I hope you'll join after our meeting today or this Zoom session today and get regular updates through Facebook. And I also will share in chat in a few minutes my phone number if you want to ever get a hold of me with questions. I have a few housekeeping items before welcoming our presenters today on financial aid and student financials. I request that all of you please keep your devices muted for now. I've added on the screen the other topics that we will be presenting on throughout the month of August, so please make a note of that. You will have an opportunity to ask questions towards the end after Paige and Priscilla have completed their presentation. When you ask your questions, I want you to put them in chat and I'll read them out to our presenters. It would be ideal if you do not include any personal information in your questions. If there are very specific things that you would like either of our guests to respond to, it's best to email them directly or to email me. And I will share my email as well with you, as Priscilla and Paige will. We will leave just a few minutes at the very tail end for those of you who are unable to type in the questions or are on a device or driving or something like that. So you can unmute yourself and ask the question verbally if that's the best thing for you to do. If you think of something after today's Zoom session, no despair, reach out to any of us, or you can send your questions to orientation@csun.edu, and I'm checking that email on a regular basis. And finally, it would be ideal to stick to questions related to financial aid and student financials today, because those are the experts we have. I don't want to keep you from asking a question that may be unrelated, but if you could do that via email or in chat with me, and I can get back with you later. And that's all I got. And I'd like to, it's my pleasure to invite Paige and Priscilla to introduce themselves and walk us through their presentation. So take it away.
Thank you, Vinita. And we need your...
I'm almost there.
Okay.
Does that, I have relinquished screen sharing.
So you go in and share your screen, Priscilla.
Okay. Okay, I think I just get this out of the way and I'm good. Nope. There we go.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, Vinita. This is Priscilla speaking, and I am the Director of Financial Aid here at Cal Maritime, and I'm here with Paige Johnson, who is the manager of the Student Financial System. So we're going to start with, oops. On here. I am not sharing the screen I need here. There we go. Okay, so we're going to go over the following topics. One, to let you know what the difference between financial aid and the cashier's office responsibilities are. Briefly go over the financial aid process, cost of attendance, how to access the student portal, the bill and financial aid, payment plans, the refund process, maintaining aid eligibility, and lastly, if you forget everything we've said, the four most important things we've put at the very end. So just to let you know, the financial aid, we are the office responsible for giving the money. So we are taking the information that you filed from the FAFSA and looking at your students' eligibility for grants, scholarships, student loans, private loans, and parent loans. And as you can see on here, you can reach us. That is our generic number. So you will reach one of our staff members who will help you, or you can email us at finaid@csum.edu Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. Cashier's office is responsible for billing each term. So you'll get bills for the fall terms, spring and summer. Anything related to the charges on student accounts, refunds that stem from overpayment or from financial aid that's been applied against the bills, tax information, which will come out in January, the 1098T form. You can reach them at their number, that's 707-654-1030. Choose option number 6, or you can email them at studentaccounts@csum.edu. So just to let you know, each year students will be required to file their FAFSA. I'm letting you know right now, as of October 1st of this year, the 2022-23 FAFSA will be available. The reason I'm telling you this now is because perhaps you filled out your FAFSA with your student in your home, but when October 1st comes around, they will be on campus and you will be at home, and that might not sync up. So I just want to remind you, starting October 1st, that it is available. Our state priority deadline is March 2nd. And if required to submit documents, we'd like to have them before May 1st. We'd like to get award letters out as soon as possible to students. So if they are selected for verification, just so you know, they will not receive an award package until verification or missing documents are complete. So let's go on with the cost of attendance for this year. We wanted to break this down into a little bit different detail so that you understand what are what we call direct costs and indirect costs. Direct costs are what the college will bill you and your student. That will include tuition, campus fees, room and board, and uniform expenses and orientation fees. So tuition and fees are going to be billed. What you're seeing are the charges for the academic year for fall and spring. They will be charged half of that amount for fall, and then again, half for spring, closer to the spring term. Room and board charges are based on double occupancy and are a meal plan. Now, if you have medical insurance that covers your student, you want to make sure that they submit that information to the student health center. Otherwise, they will be charged a medical insurance fee for the year. Books and supplies are based on average costs, and they may be a little bit more for majors like mechanical engineering, but this is an average cost of what students have told us that they spend each year. Things like transportation, personal costs, loan fees, those are called indirect costs because those are charges or expenses that students may simply occur throughout the year, and this is what they've reported to us. The estimated uniform fee is based on actually the highest cost of the uniform. This is a one-time cost for their education, so they will get what's called a C bag. Obviously, with all of their uniforms, they will purchase that up front, and that will last them all 4 years. Should they destroy their boiler suit or rip their khakis, they can replace those, and the commandant's office will let them know where they can purchase those at a minimal cost. And then, of course, the orientation fee is a one-time charge for our entering students. So you have it broken down into California residents. If students are what we call WUI or Western University Exchange students, and those are the states that are outlying of California, or if students are paying non-resident fees outside of the WUI agreement. So as you can see, those are the prices that we estimate for the academic year. This does not include summer. Now Paige is going to take it away with the next few slides.
Okay, so this is out on our website where you can log in. You can definitely use their CSUM email address and password to log on to the student portal. Want to go to the next one? Okay, thank you. This takes you to the portal where you can access your account through PeopleSoft, and you can see the options here on the left. Next, oops, there. Okay, so here on the right, we have circled your to-do list, and this is where the student will see the things that they need to take care of, whether it's for financial aid or whatever outstanding items are that they need to take care of. And here's where you can access your account. You can see, you can select account inquiry, and this will show you a summary of your bill. You can view your financial aid. You can enroll in direct deposit. You can see your account summary off to the right. And one thing I wanted to say about direct deposit is this will only be open during certain timeframes. We want to eliminate anybody having a chance to compromise the accounts and, you know, cause some fraudulent activity. So when the direct deposit is open, there will be an email that'll be sent out to the students, and we'll let them know it'll be open from Monday to Friday. You have access between these times to go in and update your information. Okay. Okay, payment plans. We do offer a payment plan. It's for anyone's account that owes $400 or more. There is a $50 charge to have these 3 payments set up. Our first due date or fall due date is August 11th. And then the second installment would be due on September 15th. And then another one on October 15th.
Okay, if you cannot cover costs, we have other options available. A lot of times we encourage students not to take their unsubsidized loan, which is usually a $2,000 loan that's available to them, unless they really need it. So that is an option to them. Second option would be a Parent Plus loan, and that is a parent loan that is in the parent's name only, not in the student's name, but it would pay against the student's account. And then for future reference, we would also recommend that students apply for the foundation scholarship and outside scholarships, and I'll go over that in a future slide. And lastly, private educational loans that would be in the student's name. The private loan is different than our federal loan programs. The federal loan programs are a guaranteed student loan, whereas the private loans are going to be based on the student's credit score, we know that perhaps 17, 18, 19-year-olds may not have credit scores established yet. So if that is the case, we encourage to have a parent as a cosigner, because the credit score is going to determine the approval of the private loan as well as the interest rate. The parent loan, as I said, is going to be from the federal government. If you have not applied for it yet, you can still do so. It requires an application and credit check, and you can find that link actually on our webpage. Interest rate for this current year is a 6.28, and then there is a small loan fee that is deducted from the loan disbursement. Repayment of the loan will begin 60 days after the last disbursement in spring. So if you have a fall disbursement and then a spring disbursement, which would be in the first week of January, 60 days after that, parents can begin repayment on that parent loan, and you have a 10-year repayment plan. Just remember, if you plan on taking a plus loan each year, that your monthly payments will increase as your principal increases. But these are available, and as I said, it usually takes about 36 hours for the approval process. so it's fairly easy. And again, you can find that on the financial aid website. What I really would like to do is to make a plug for our foundation scholarships. Each year, students are given an opportunity to apply for our foundation scholarships, starting typically around Thanksgiving, and the deadline ends the last week of January. Please ask your students not to wait till the last day. The criteria is going to be based on their GPA, merits, good standing in the core, community service, and most importantly, we ask, it is so simple that all they're asked to do is to write a response to 3 questions in an essay form. We're not talking about a huge essay, but we're talking about a well-written essay. Students are typically going to be notified in late March if they are receiving an outside scholarship, and this will be for the coming year. So applying now means that they would be looking at receiving these scholarships for the 2022-23 year. Also, just so you know, thank you letters are required in order to receive the scholarship. So they will also be required to write a nice thank you letter. We also have a couple of other sites for outside scholarships, and students can apply for these throughout the year. Scholarship deadlines will vary from organization to organization. The first one that we have is that students can look for outside scholarships. So it's based on who they are as a person. And we have large search engines, and we also have it based, as I said, on various categories of how the students identify themselves. These sites are kept in regular good condition. The links are always checked on there, and it's a really good source for students to find scholarships. The second site is actually based on maritime scholarships. So it's based on their major, and they can look for these sites. We have probably 70 or more scholarships that are available. No other maritime academy has this information. They could, but it's a lot of research. We make sure that the deadlines are updated as soon as we know. We check the sites every 3 months. And our students do receive a lot of money, ranging from $500 to $10,000 in scholarships from these sites. So it is well worth their time to look at both the outside scholarship source and the maritime scholarship sources. These also, of course, can be found on the financial aid website. Pages, yeah.
Sorry. Then we have our refunds. If your student has a credit balance, we'll go ahead and process the refund. So your financial aid will be dispersed for fall on Monday, August 30th. The first week of classes, we usually disperse mostly on a daily basis. And then after that, we will drop it down to a weekly basis. Refunds will be sent to the cadet's home address unless they set it up otherwise. So they can have it mailed to them here on campus, or they can set up for direct deposit. If a parent has a Parent Plus loan and they're wanting that refund sent to them, then that has to be set up during the application process.
Okay, the next thing is maintaining eligibility for financial aid. Because these are tax dollars that pay for the multiple programs that we provide to students for financial aid, it is a requirement by the Department of Education that students make academic progress. And this includes 2 criteria. One, they have to maintain a cumulative GPA of 2.0, which is a C average or better. The exception to that is if a student has a presidential scholarship, they must maintain a 3.0. The other thing is that they must make progress within a time frame, which means within 150% of the published length of time. And this will vary based on major, and the students can always click on the policy to see the length of time. This means that, we don't want students who are around for a long time. We want them to get their degree, get out there, get a job, and join the workforce. So what will happen is at the end of each term, we will review their grades. But more importantly is at the end of the academic year, which is the end of spring, we will look at their GPA and a number of credits that they've completed. If they are under a 2.0, I'm going to send them a letter, a probationary letter saying that they must write an appeal in order to receive aid for the coming fall term. So they have an opportunity to take care of this. I realize now that the information on here is a little out of date, but basically they have fall term and spring term to make academic progress and maintain a 2.0 GPA. At the end of the spring term, as I said, we will send them a letter if they have not made progress. They, in turn, must write a letter of appeal saying what went wrong and what they intend to do to fix it. If at the end of the coming fall term, they don't meet progress, then they will lose their aid for the spring term. So they basically have 3 semesters to maintain their eligibility. After that, we don't have an appeal process unless they perhaps leave school and take classes at a community college or online at another college, raise their GPA and transfer those credits back to Cal Maritime. Lastly, this is the 4 things that are the most important thing, is that students must apply for aid, need-based aid, every year by the March 2nd deadline. No FAFSA, no financial aid. Students must check their PeopleSoft account weekly to make sure their to-do list, or if they have any account holds, that they have taken care of these. Because if the student has an unpaid balance, then they will have a registration hold and they won't be allowed to register for the following term. We also ask that students check their Cal Maritime regularly. Now they can set it up so that their CSUM email address is forwarded to their personal email account. That's fine, but all official communication is done through our CSUM email. And I will tell you the story of what happened to a student this summer. We had selected a student to receive a very prestigious scholarship from the CSU system. I sent an email to them because it was very time specific that they communicate back to me that they wanted to provide the paperwork that was necessary. Didn't hear from him for 2 weeks. So it sent another email saying, you must respond. We've got a deadline and I need to know. I never heard from the student. Well, over the course of the summer, we had to reach out to this student for other information. And we said, we've been sending you emails. And he said, oh, I never check my emails. He lost a $6,000 scholarship because he did not read his emails. And there are many things that are going to come from departments, from our Coast Guard licensing office. It is absolutely vital that students check their CSUM email in order to know about the things that will impact their life here. And lastly, if a student feels the need to withdraw from any classes and they have financial aid, there may be an impact on if they withdraw based on that time. We want them to reach out and talk to the financial aid counselor to see if there's any financial impact. We also want them to contact their academic advisor or their faculty advisor. It's really important that we let them know if there are any consequences to them withdrawing and what they might be. Now we are open for questions. Vanita, take it away.
Thank you, Priscilla and Paige, for the information you shared. I don't have a lot of questions in chat, but that doesn't mean some won't pop up. I was asked if students are required to stay on campus for all the years that they are here, which is correct. Yes, all students are expected to live on campus for all their entire time here. There are some exceptions and they can request waivers through, we have a process that will be made available to them if they wish to consider living off campus. That was one of the unrelated ones, but here's one. A parent is asking, Carmi wants to know, can students apply for the scholarship more than once?
Yes, we want them to apply every single year, and they only have to do the application once a year to be considered for all of our scholarships. A scholarship committee determines the students who fit the categories best for that criteria. And so, but we encourage students to apply every year for those scholarships.
Thank you. Tana wants to know, My student only has 10 units in classes. When will she 12 units to be considered? Won't she need 12 units to be considered full-time?
Yes, that's correct. So she will have an opportunity to add a class. I believe the registrar will open that up the first week of classes and they can add in class.
And students who are block registered for their classes will have an opportunity to do some small changes once they're here on campus, once they've met with their with the university advisors and spoken to the registrar. Some other changes are definitely possible. Next question is, I filled out the waiver for health insurance. It was waived. Do I turn it into health services?
Yes, that is correct. Turn it into health services.
Okay, next one is from Allison. When is tuition due?
Fall tuition is due August 11th.
Thank you. Is it too late to try for scholarships for fall 2021?
They can apply for outside scholarships. The foundation scholarships, that application process is for the coming year, the 22-23 year. But they can certainly look at maritime scholarships and outside scholarships and apply for those. Those are available throughout the year.
Parents, you'll notice that I have included a link in chat. That's a good form that you might want to provide your information on. So we usually like the students to tell us, give us information on parents so that when we need to reach out to you, we have something to fall back on. This is the form that we require or request your students to complete. We have not had a lot of activity on it this year. So if you can go in and provide us with your information for future communications, that will be very helpful. You'll notice that it is a csum.edu/supplemental information link that I've included in the chat. Next question is, but doesn't aid not apply till 8:30?
That is correct. But if you are going to be receiving, or your student's going to be receiving financial aid, you can deduct the financial aid from your bill and just pay what is due.
Right. If the student looks on their account summary, if they click on account inquiry, it will take them to account summary. And it will show all the outstanding charges for fall, and then it will show pending aid and then amount due in the far right corner.
If our bill for the semester does not include the health insurance, does that mean that I submitted the correct health coverage to the health department? I don't remember doing this, but this bill does not include health coverage. He is fully covered under our plan.
If there is no charge for health or health coverage, then it was submitted correctly.
You'll see a waiver. Actually, you will see the health insurance waiver there for the amount of what is it, page $702?
Yes, for fall.
Yeah. So make sure that that waiver is actually as a part of your student accounts.
Other questions? The student or parent plus loan, if the offered amount is not enough, is it possible to request a higher amount?
For the student loans, we offer what the student is eligible for based on their academic year as a freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior. The parent plus loan we offer is based, when we offer an aid package, that parent loan is basically covering the gap. So you can take up to that amount, or you can take a lesser amount as you determine is necessary. But we cannot increase it beyond the cost of attendance.
Can non-parent family members have access to financial information in order to contribute?
What we would suggest doing is the student themselves can give what we call third-party authorization to anyone they choose to, but they have to be very specific. They have to give us their name, the relationship, and exactly what they're receiving access to. But if it's a non-family member, if it's a non-parent, I would say just simply ask the student to tell you what the balance is, or they can print off the bill and let you know.
Can we mail a check to the cashier's office?
Yes, you can.
In my student's bill, there is a food dining fee. Is that standard or are there options? It was Plan B, whatever that means.
Plan B is the only plan. It is our new dining option. Students will be able to go into the marketplace and purchase whatever they like for a per price item, whether it's a hot meal that's prepared right there, or if they're picking up salads or sandwiches, whatever. We have an enormous amount of food for them to choose from, but it is a cost per item. So as they go in and purchase meal for that period of time, they'll check out just like they would at a grocery store. And that will be deducted from that amount that has been charged for them for the fall term.
So Melissa says that their bill said option C, and if I remember.
It is option C. So we tried to change it a little bit in spring last year because of COVID. And we had a couple options. To make it easier, we just have one plan and it's a declining balance. So it really is option C, but that's why it says option C.
And worry not, we will have members from the dining services with us later in the month, and they will probably give you a much better understanding of how marketplace is going to work and what the different nuances are of the options that your cadet has. So hang tight for that. My daughter received a check in her name from her college saving plan. Can she turn the check over to Cal Maritime?
She can come on in and speak with our cashier. She'll help her with that.
The cashier is placed in the administration building. Paige, can you speak to her hours?
So starting on the 16th, she will be here Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 4. Right now, for the next 2 weeks, it's Tuesday through Thursday from 8 to 4.
And it's going to remain the 5 days a week schedule during orientation. Are there any extended hours?
We're going to go back to regular business.
Okay.
No extended hours. And she's also, you can reach her by email or the phone as well.
And if I could just point out something, from orientation on, of course, many of the staff will be available to talk to students and families, but the families who are visiting during orientation, just so you know, the Student Services Building, which houses admissions, financial aid, registrar, career services, licensing, and disciplinary, it's a very tightly fit building. There are a lot of people in the building. So for COVID reasons, we are asking that students make an appointment with us, or they, of course, can call or email us or chat. That's not a problem. But if they do physically come into the Student Services Building, they must wear a mask, as we will be wearing masks. So I just wanted to let you know, if parents here want to come in and see financial aid and have a one-on-one with us, perfectly fine, but we will only allow one person in the office because our offices are so small and we want to make sure that we're following all our safety guidelines.
Thank you, Priscilla. Quick question on needed photograph for the ID card. What are the requirements? White background, only face. I couldn't find information anywhere. Give me a moment and I will put the link where the information is for the ID card. We're not very particular about the background. It should be the face pretty much like you would in any ID. But there are some specifics about the photograph, and I will put that in chat right now. Who can my daughter talk to about her classes? So do you think she wants to talk to someone before getting here on campus or once she's on campus? Chana? Before she comes. So she could reach out to either the university advisors or to the registrar's office. Let me put those links to schedule an appointment with either of those departments in the link. Give me a second. Other questions?
While Vinita is looking for other questions, also just to really strongly encourage you to look at the financial aid webpage. On it, we have a lot of good information. More importantly, we have commonly asked questions with answers and links embedded in there. And these are questions that we have heard from parents and students every year. So I hope you will take a look there if you're not able to call us or email us. And hopefully you will find a lot of good information there.
We do have a question. For the IPP installment plan, how do we request to be on that plan?
Okay, good question, because I neglected to tell you where it was. It is located out on our website and it's under student and parents. And then underneath that, you'll see the IPP installment payment plan.
And Priscilla, I've just added the financial aid link in there. There is a lot of good information on the financial aid page. There are several FAQs that might be helpful. So please visit these different sites.
And if you have trouble falling asleep at night, it's also a really good sleep aid.
Hey, that was Title IX's webpage I was going to send them to. So for those of you who might be curious what else I do, I am the Title IX coordinator for the campus, and my role is oversees gender equity and concerns that are reported to my office with regard to sexual discrimination and sexual harassment. So trying to support students if they've had any concerns or when needed, move into any investigations for things that are reported. Thank you, Paige, for including student financials as well. So Jennifer says she's a little confused about August 11th payments due and loan disbursement. Can they reach out to you after this?
Absolutely.
All right. And as I had included in chat earlier, the best way to reach Paige is studentaccounts@csum.edu. Correct, Paige?
Yes, yes. That'll actually go, the cashier oversees it, but between the two of us, we'll get your question answered.
If you have other questions or questions related to today's presentation, please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly or to send us a query at orientation@csum.edu. And I'm looking through that all the time, and either I will respond or I will request the expert on campus, whatever the questions related to reach out to you. On a side note, I just don't, because Priscilla brought up COVID, I just want everyone to know that we are requiring our students to be vaccinated when they arrive on campus. If they are going to need an exception, we need you to, they've been invited to reach out to us and given the instructions on who to contact depending on the reason for the exception. So please stay in touch with them to ensure that they're taking the appropriate steps. When they arrive on campus, we require them to be vaccinated or have a waiver. Do you mind talking a little bit about the schedule for 31st? Of course, I am, the other hat that I wear is coordinating orientation. So here's what's gonna happen. You guys are gonna arrive based on a exact assigned time and a location where your student is going to be living. So I'm just gonna make up an example. So Jane Smith will get a letter saying she will be residing in Res Hall A and must arrive at 10 a.m. So Jane and her family will pull up around 10 o'clock and drive up to the location where she's going to be staying. When she pulls up to that location, there will be someone checking what time she's supposed to be there, and if the time is right, they will be allowed to move into the location where you will park the car in front of that res hall. Your student Jane is going to step out of the car and be helped by other students and staff members in that parking lot to unload your car. And once the unloading is complete, you will be asked to move out of that space and told to go to a parking lot where you can park. Jane will go to her room, put her belongings there, get to know the people along the way, and you guys can have an agreement on where to meet up afterwards. If Jane is coming in at 10 o'clock and her swim lesson is at 11, or swim assessment is at 11, which is also an assigned time in the same letter, it's best that Jane goes straight to the swimming pool and get started with her assessment. If there is a time lag between the time she ends up with the dorm and between her swim lesson, she can meet up with you wherever you choose to meet up. We will have in our physical education building a fair set up where you are going to be able to meet some local businesses who may choose to be there, but essentially a lot of the services we provide on campus those representatives will be at that campus fair. It'll give you a chance to meet some people, grab a cup of coffee, and hang out while your student is either getting settled in their room with their belongings or at swim assessment. This will continue until 2 o'clock. And after that, everybody will kind of move towards lower campus. And there is a welcome session for the parents. And while the parents are in the welcome session, their students will be doing some preparation to what is called a capping ceremony. So when you come out of the welcome session, your students will march in and will give you an opportunity to put their covers, which is their cap, onto your student, and it's kind of ceremonial, and it moves them from being your child to being a cadet on our campus. It's a really sweet kind of a ceremony, and right after that, you can take your student for one last dinner somewhere in town. If you cannot stay, we will feed your child because they are our cadet at that point. But we welcome parents to do one last getaway and bring the student back by 9 o'clock. They have to be back on campus by 9. And that is the end of the day for the parents. There's nothing else after pretty much that capping ceremony. That's kind of what your day will look like. You will have your own schedule to kind of tell you what a couple of things that are going on. The students will get their own schedule when they move in. And so that's kind of what the day will look like. Does the cadet need to show their vaccination card? There is a mechanism being discussed on the best way to get their vaccination information to us ahead of time. So I will take that question down and get back with you. We might not be asking for the vaccination card per se at that time. We'll need to have it ahead of time. Do you want the students to have the vaccination verification app on their phone? We can, let me answer that question on Facebook with the exact information. Are parents allowed to help set up the dorm room? Because of COVID and for the safety of our students, we're trying to limit the number of people going in and out and touching and breathing in that space and keeping it as clean and as possible. So we're not allowing parents this year to, neither did we last year, to go into the dorm rooms. Capping ceremony is a tearjerker for sure. It is. It's a very sweet ceremony and you'll enjoy it and cherish it for years to come. Is it possible to purchase Cal Maritime merchandise during orientation? Yes, the bookstore will be open and I'm hoping to potentially even have a table at the fair so you could purchase there or order and pick up at the bookstore. Is it possible? Oh, sorry. Requesting CMA offer a parent magnet for our car. I look into it. It's definitely possible to have a magnet designed and printed before you arrive. Thank you, Carmi. I will make a note of it. Other questions? All right, we are at 6:18 and any last tips from our experts? Priscilla?
This is Priscilla. I would just say, if you have any questions, concerns, please reach out to us. Once your students are on campus and they become a cadet, unless they have given us permission to talk to you, we won't be able to. So we can answer everything now, and just remind your student to make sure to do that third-party authorization so that we can continue that conversation with you throughout their career here. But we are here to help and make sure that you understand all the things that are going on. And please make sure your student knows that we are here for them and they can always contact us for any information.
I would agree. We want to be able to help you and have you and your student have a great experience here. So don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Yes, so not immediately, just because there's a lot going on. I will take this recording and put it on the Keelhauler family page as well as the orientation page, so it will be available. I will check with the presenters after the call to see if we can also place this presentation up on our web pages.
Yes.
So look, thank you. Look at both those pages in a few days and you'll see that we will continue to post other presentations if the presenters okay it, and the recordings will definitely be placed there. On the orientation and the Keelhauler family pages. Send us your information at that link. That would be most helpful. And I had something else I was going to share with you, but then it's gone now. All this gray hair tells you something. Any of you who have who's been listening but not been able to type in because of their status in travel or whatever the reason may be, please unmute yourself and ask your question. Now we have a few minutes left in this call. All right, I remembered what I was going to say. I just wanted to let parents know that we're coming out of a very difficult and isolating year, and our kids, students, cadets are going to find this new freedom exciting. And I'm putting on my Title IX hat a little bit and a cautious parent hat a little bit to ask that talk to your student, remind them that when they're here on their own and feel that they have time, friends, and freedom to do things and explore and take risks, to be mindful of their own boundaries, their own limitations, and to take calculated risks. We can't tell them to become risk averse altogether. They will want to do certain things and, just enjoy college life, but tell them to be mindful and measured in their experience and exploration after a very difficult year. So I wanted to just kind of throw that out there as you have conversations with them before they leave you. All right. If there are no other questions, we could end now. And I look forward to seeing all of you and more parents in just a couple of days. So Thursday at 5:30 again. I'm going to throw up that, or I'll post again the topics for the rest of the month. And it was a pleasure to host you all. Thank you, Priscilla and Paige. If you want to turn off your, unmute yourself and give them a warm applause, I would welcome that.
Thank you, Anita.
Thank you, you both. Have a great evening, and don't hesitate to reach us at orientation@csum.edu.
Night,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Bye-bye.